You guys can't hear anything I'm saying. So Disney 100 today, Paris trip. We're gonna do a top three. We got Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel ready to go on. Should be a good show. Other than my microphone deciding it didn't want to get on, so we'll go from there. And here we go. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. Hey, if you're wondering what looks different, I'm a little bit more cultured now. No, we're going to have some fun. Like I said, we've got Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on with us today. We're going to get through the news relatively quick, do a top three, and then we're going to do a Q&A about the trip over to Disneyland Paris and Walt Disney Studios Paris. Talk a little bit about kind of some of the similarities and differences of the parks, about the people. I think that was the biggest difference, was kind of the way you were treated, and answer any other questions that Peter might have in store for us. So definitely going to have a good show today. Like I said, we've got about 3 weeks worth of news because, you know, in all reality, we didn't have a live show last week. With me going to Paris and with golf and everything like that, so just making up for it here this week. So if you do have anything question-wise, definitely drop it in the chat, especially over on YouTube, on the Twitch chat. Thank you for joining us over there. I'll try and check in on that every once in a while just to make sure that you guys are taken care of while I'm thinking of it. Before I bring Mr. Salvadori on, I'm just going to go ahead and get the other chat bot up real quick because it'll just make it a little bit easier to see everybody over on Twitch. So there we go. All right, now I can see all you guys. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Let's go ahead and get into some news because we do have a lot of news tonight. So I'm going to bring on Mr. Salvadori, and we will talk some news.
Oh, I'm here.
You're here. I don't know why my mic keeps turning off for some reason. It's weird. So I just I'm gonna have to watch that tonight. It just seems like it's like opposite on all my switches today. So it's potential spam. Just what I want in the middle of the show. So let's go ahead. Let's jump in.
Wait. Who sent that? Was that a comment?
What?
Oh, that's a phone call?
It was a phone call.
I see.
Let's jump in some news here, because we do have quite a bit of it. So get the timer going. I think we'll beat the timer, about 15 minutes on the clock. Let's see what we've got here. So big thing here the last day or so, there's been two big things. First is the layoffs. The layoffs have been kind of coming for a little while, but Iger announced really where the layoffs are going to be coming from. And the first phase is going to be very much focused on the Disney TV section of the company, specifically Hulu, FX, Freeform, channels like that. And getting rid of some of the management, some of the unneeded staff there, that kind of stuff. You know, when they came out and said 7,000 jobs, no frontline jobs affected, you knew that it was going to come from places like this. Anything surprising with that announcement today?
No. I mean, you feel bad for 7,000 people now have severance packages and have to go find a job. But exactly like you said, we kind of expected, I don't know, about a week and a half ago, we kind of got news that parks employees weren't going to be really impacted by the first round of layoffs and things like that. So then you and I kind of speculated off of the earnings call, whatever it was, a month and a half ago. Really, the earnings call set the stage for the announcement today on layoffs, because
Yeah.
in the earnings call, it was very, very obvious the red part of the company, and that is Disney Plus is not bringing in the revenue that it is costing to keep
Yes.
all of the new stuff going. And so you just kind of saw, okay, so we're going to be heading towards entertainment. We're going to see a reduction in offerings, a reduction in staffing. And so as you just kind of reduce the workforce across all of those kind of TV companies, it made sense. It doesn't make it any easier for anybody impacted by it, but in terms of a business side, I can't say it was unexpected where the first round of layoffs hit.
Correct. So the other big news is Disney has been kind of bundling this bad news with really good news. So on the good news side of today, we got a lot of information about Disney 100 as far as it relates to Walt Disney World. So over the next 6 months, so starting in April and working its way all the way through March of next year,
Yeah.
they are going to have monthly celebrations. The first 6 months are going to be focused in the Magic Kingdom. The second 6 months are going to be focused in Epcot. And two of the things that came out of this that really stood out is we really got a date for the opening of Moana Journey of Water. They expect it to be open by the 1st of September. We also got a date for the new Epcot fireworks show, which sounds like it's going to be the 1st of September as well, with the kickoff for the Epcot side of this celebration. But how they're doing it at the Magic Kingdom's kind of unique and cool. They are going to segment different franchises throughout Disney history and focus on those for a month in the Magic Kingdom. So they're going to have a Princess month. They're going to have a Pixar month. They're going to have a Fab Five month. They're going to have all these different franchise type months at Magic Kingdom, and with that, they're going to have exclusive merchandise. They're going to have unique character meet and greets. They're going to have a lot of different things going on within the parks for each month. So really, they're going to give you 12 months of unique merchandise and unique meet and greets and that kind of stuff, just to kind of get those people to keep coming back for this celebration. Exactly. So lots going on with Disney 100. I'm super excited. We've got D23 coming up. We are going to be there as a podcast for D23. So if you guys want to find us, meet up with us, definitely check us out on Twitter, because we'll probably be making plans as it relates to like a get together or something at D23. So anything with the Disney 100 that's really jumped out and surprised you, or that you're super looking forward to?
No, just the release date, the expected opening day of when the celebration. Well, first of all, back up. It's happening exactly like you and I predicted, whatever, months ago. You and I were sitting there talking about how when it comes over to Disney World, that we would expect it to kind of really full hit Magic Kingdom and then separately full hit Epcot, and that's exactly what was kind of revealed here. And then on that topic, just the day that it's supposed to kind of shift its focus over to Epcot is so incredibly exciting, as you just mentioned, because we will be in Epcot about 1 week after the projected start of this. And so if all things happen according to plan, it'll be fantastic to get footage and experience in the Journey of Water when it's relatively new. It'll be fantastic for us to be able to record the brand new show and see that show. really, really exciting stuff. Like Matt said, we are both going to be there with our wives for D23. And, in terms of the themed months, it makes sense. Disney, at the end of the day, Disney tells stories. And by doing this, you're going to essentially have a different story being told, or a different story being highlighted and showcased month by month, which I really can't think of a better way to showcase the 100 years of the Walt Disney Company than
Exactly.
to just kind of like spotlight the history of blank and then spotlight the history of blank as the celebration goes on. So, no, really exciting stuff. And yeah, just thrilled with the timing of it all, for sure. Just looking at what we have on our horizon.
Yeah, yeah. Couple things princess-wise that are going to make people excited. First off, Disney PhotoPass photographers have returned to capture your portraits at Cinderella's royal table prior to going up for your meal. So, prior to COVID, there was a meet and greet with Cinderella in kind of the entrance area to the royal table restaurant. Since COVID, it has been gone, but it is now back with PhotoPass photographers, which is awesome. That is one of the highlights of that meal, is to get some FaceTime with the host. And it's one of the places that one of the most magical memories that my family's ever made at Disney happened. So really kind of hits at my heart when this comes back and being able to do that. So, no, really cool there. And then the other thing is Akershus. Breakfast and lunch is coming back. You can actually book it now. And it's going to start on May the 14th. Akershus over in Epcot in the Norway Pavilion. Great family-style breakfast. Lunch kind of follows that dinner menu with a few variations. But you get that great buffet with the lunch as well. And Peter, if you've listened to our show and listened to some of our top threes, Akershus comes up consistently in those for character dining, for regular dining, because of that buffet. It is very unique, and really makes that meal worth the price that you pay for it. What are your thoughts there, Peter?
Nothing.
I
don't know what else you want me to cover with that.
don't know.
There are, on the travel side of things, there are some new deals that released today.
Okay.
Essentially, if you're traveling now through the end of September, you should see if you can snag a deal or contact your travel agent about snagging one of those deals. And yeah, so some cruise line offerings. The first cruises for 2024 are available going to that brand new island. I forget the name of it. Do you know the name of it up your head?
Lighthouse Point.
Yes. I was like, it's light something. Yeah, so the very first 2024 cruises that are expected to stop at the second of Disney's private islands are available for booking in 2024. Galactic Star Cruiser took a pretty decent price drop by almost 10%, but it's still, for a family of four, going to run you, $6,000 almost. So it's great that there's a slightly reduced price on it. Of course, the slightly reduced price led to a few bookings getting booked up, and they're still doing basically about 5 to 6 cruise dates a month are canceled all the way through October, November timeframe. So just some things on the travel side, but that's about it for me.
On top of that, annual pass holder discounts for the Star Cruiser, 30% off discount announced. Cruise is basically $415 through $628, with just a couple of cruises that aren't available, but it seems like almost every date is available. Looking at the schedule, there aren't many gaps in this. 610's not there. But I mean, it just a lot of dates available for the annual pass holder side of that. Space Mountain is bringing back the single rider line. It's good for the people that like to skip the line. Bad for the regular queue. I guess it's not terrible for the regular queue. Hollywood Studios extends the twice nightly performances of Fantasmic into April. They've been doing that through March. It's good to see them doing it into April. Toontown announced a bunch of unique character meet and greets, including Pete. Unique character meet and greets are going to be a very big theme through the rest of the show. So, and then Happily Ever After fireworks dessert parties can be booked. Starting last week, they're going to do it the same way they did Enchantment. You're going to have a pre-show, a during show, and a post-show dessert party. The during show is going to be a little bit more expensive because you're watching the fireworks from Tomorrowland Terrace. The pre-show and post-show will give you a reserved seating area for the fireworks when you're not doing your dessert party. But past that, not a whole lot else on the news side. So, anything else that you've seen, Peter, that people should be aware of?
Probably, but I have no idea. That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right. Well, then that is the news. And then we get 2 minutes and 4 seconds back into the top three, and we'll get a sounder like in the middle of like the top three anyway. So, it'll be fun. So, Unicourse, why won't you work? You at work. My Unicourse sounder isn't working. All right, so let's get into the top three. Business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. Hey everybody, welcome to the DPI Top 3. I'm Matt with the Disney Planning Insights podcast. Over on the other screen, over there is Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. If you look at the little logos behind us, or beside us, you can tell who we're with, even though we kind of both work for both companies. So, we'll make it as confusing as possible. How the top three works is I have a bag of chips. We're going to pull out a chip. We're going to have a random category tonight, and we are going to have 20 seconds to come up with our top three or our bottom three.
Oh, crap.
Favorite things. Oh, he puts his thinking cap on, so he is ready to go. And our chip tonight is going to be number 21.
Favorite things at Disneyland Paris.
No. Even though that's a great idea, it is not.
No, I haven't been there. It would just be your top three.
All right, we're going to go outside of the parks tonight. Hold on, I'm going to get through the last 30 seconds of the news because the sounder plays no matter what, so our heartbeat sounder is going off right now. That's what I should have done.
Because I'm nervous about making my selection.
I know. So our top three tonight is going to be over the best Disney Plus series. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you meant we're going outside the parks as in like... Do they have to be original series or just things available on Disney Plus?
Well, we'll just go things available on Disney Plus.
But they have to be a series?
No. we're gonna massacre this. Let's just go top three Disney Plus.
No, it's gotta be series. It's gotta be series.
Okay, we'll go with series. We'll keep it at series, okay? You've got 20 seconds.
Planning your first trip and getting overwhelmed by all the details? Planning your next trip and just want some new suggestions on things you haven't tried? Contact me at Princess and the Mouse Travel, and I'd love to work with you planning your next trip to the most magical place on earth.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel. Okay, and we're back. This is
That was
going
not
to
20 seconds.
that was 20 seconds. It's the same ad every week, Peter.
I don't believe you.
It's the same ad. All right, number 3. I think we're kind of all both going in the same direction here.
Yeah, we're just gonna step all over each other.
I know. That's what's gonna make this one fun.
Fun is the wrong word.
I'll let you go first. So
no,
you can...
that's a terrible idea. You're just gonna get grumpy when I say yours.
No, I've watched a bunch on Disney Plus, so.
See, okay, all right. We're gonna start with and then here's the thing. Like, there's so many crossovers. Like, what counts? Okay, we are gonna go with it's on Disney Plus, but you can get access to it other ways. We are gonna go with Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Okay.
All right. So
I like it.
What is fantastic if you are a Star Wars fan and like the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and the Skywalker trilogy with Rey, like, great, but there is so much Star Wars lore that kind of happens from movie 2 to movie 3 in the prequel series.
Yes.
And the Clone Wars does a fantastic job of unpacking all of that. And you really actually see Anakin's sort of, right? You sort of like leave movie 2 with Anakin, I don't know, starry-eyed, to all of a sudden movie 3, he's like a man on the edge of his last rope. And, right? Like,
yeah, that makes a big jump between those movies.
Right. He goes from like Danny Glover to Mel Gibson. For the Lethal Weapon fans out there, right? Like, all of a sudden, and the Clone Wars does a really, really good job of kind of unpacking that. And then if you're fans of other Star Wars things, you obviously get a ton of information about Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ahsoka Tano and just, Asajj Ventress, and you get more of Darth Maul's story. There's just so much. There's so much to unpack. I can't even go into it all. But if you are a Star Wars fan and you did not know that the Clone Wars is on Disney Plus, then you need to get your butt over there and start. It's going to be it.
Well, there's
you got your
5 seasons now.
Out. Yeah, and they're talking about bringing it back again. So,
well, that's what Dave Filoni, who's kind of behind The Mandalorian, behind the Bad Batch. This is where he really got his.
My whole top 3.
Yeah, this is where he got his chops wet with the Star Wars stuff. He was kind of the man behind the Clone Wars and creating these stories. So if you like those series that are newer to the Disney Plus arena, go back and watch the Clone Wars, because it's the same type of storytelling in that series, just with a different timeline. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay there for my number 3 as well, and I'm gonna go with the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch it's a fantastic series. We are in season 2 now on Disney Plus. It is currently running season 2, and it follows the story of 5 stormtroopers, the clones that were kind of defective, and when Order 66 happened, they didn't get the message. So they're this kind of unique unit of individuals, and it follows their story from the cloning facilities to these adventures that they've kind of run away from the Empire and are doing their things on their own. So really, really good storytelling. Again, Dave Filoni and that kind of crew again. It's been really enjoyable watching the last, like I said, we're in the middle of season 2 right now. So just really, really great storytelling there. So let's go ahead and let's get into our number 2.
My turn?
It's all over on you.
Okay, I am going. So we could literally sit here and talk about all of Star Wars, and I'm sure I might fall back to Star Wars for number 1 because I could go 3 directions.
I can't too. I'm just
Right.
I'm just waiting to hear what you say.
I am going to jump out of Star Wars for at least this one. I might even have a surprise number 1 pick, but we'll see. So I'm going to go with WandaVision. WandaVision absolutely deserves a mention on the top 3 series to go and watch. If you are, honestly, whether you're like a mild fan of the Marvel or a huge fan of the Marvel, WandaVision was something unique in and of its own right. Just like, I don't even, psycho thriller / partially comedy / you go in expecting, oh, I totally expect to see like Marvel superheroes everywhere and Marvel, and it's not that.
It is very focused, but builds a story really well.
It is just a really, really impressive show. No word of a season 2 yet, even though many people would love to see it. But just a really, really amazing show. And then about halfway through the series, you sort of like start seeing what's going on from 2 angles without spoiling anything for anybody out there.
Yeah.
And then it just gets like beyond amazing. You're sort of like curious for the first, I don't know, 2-3 episodes, and then all of a sudden you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So just a really, really great, fantastic show. WandaVision over on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And really that was what's gonna launch kind of some of the Phase 4 movies in Marvel as well. It really laid some of the groundwork for some of that Phase 4 stuff that's happening. So really good watch there. For my number 2, I'm going to go outside of kind of the franchises. I'm going to go to prop culture. Prop culture was a fantastic show where they went into the Disney archives and sometimes outside of the Disney archives because they ended up finding one of the items in a garage sale of all things. But finding these unique pieces of Disney history and telling their stories. One of them is the Flynn's arcade sign from the original Tron movie. Mary Poppins handbag. Just really, really cool pieces of Disney history. And I think it was like an 8-part series where they go through and they really focus on one piece of history and tell the story and talk about some of the people that may have owned it after it was used in the movie or how it got lost or whatever. And it really, really, really well done. Good storytelling. And again, it's Disney, so hopefully it's good storytelling. But it really made an interesting series out of really just pieces of unused props that are sitting in the Disney archives. I mean, it was really cool to see some of those items. So that is my number 2, prop culture. So let's go ahead and let's get over to our number 1 choices.
Man, there's so many. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you have the big guy.
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not taking it.
Are you really not?
I'm not taking it. I've got a better number 1.
No way.
Yeah.
You have a better number. First of all, honorable mention. I almost brought up Monsters at Work.
Monsters at Work is fantastic.
Just for the record, honorable mention before I do my number 1. That was about to be my surprise number 1, but if you're not going to do it, we have to do it. Like the creme de la creme of Disney Plus is Mandalorian.
Yes.
And I'm going to cross over Mandalorian into Book of Boba just because it's kind of a
same
side
story.
arc. It is. It's a side arc, and then Mando even comes in to kind of help him with the Tatooine issue, and so it was sort of like Mandalorian season 2.5. Like,
Yeah, it's what they did with the Lion King.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you all of a sudden hear the story from Timon and Pumbaa. So, yeah. So honorable mention to Monsters at Work, but obviously Mandalorian. You can't have a top 3 on Disney Plus and not bring in Mandalorian, which is why I was going to let Matt have it, but he clearly has something up his sleeve, so I'm intrigued. I was in between this and a couple of other series. I do think that Clone Wars is absolutely amazing, but now hearing the list, I wish I wouldn't have put in Clone Wars to put in other things. I don't know. There's so much content on Disney Plus, but obviously Mandalorian is absolutely amazing. It is remarkable that Pedro Pascal can make you feel so much, yet we've only seen his face on camera twice.
Two episodes,
I think. Yeah, 2 different episodes when he got healed after the attack by Moff Gideon, and when he had to remove it in order to go and save Grogu from the Imperial Research Facility. Like those, right? I think those are the only 2 times we've seen his face. So it is just absolutely remarkable. And then to kind of cross over with some of those, like Moff Gideon, what a big baddie, seeing the Darksaber, seeing Mandalore, Bo-Katan. I mean, just awesome stuff. Season 3 has me a bit worried, if I'm being completely honest, because so far, I don't know. It seems sort of
gimmicky.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it. It's just lacking the depth of the storyline. It just sort of seems like we're bopping all over the place to do nothing of consequence. I don't know. I'm kind of concerned that maybe it's going to run its course sooner than later, but it also seems like they're just sort of like making stuff up as they go. I don't know. Still a phenomenal series, like just absolutely amazing to also see like Luke Skywalker in season 2, and season 1 and 2 are so amazing. I'm only comparing or concerned with season 3 right now because it is lacking the holy crap of what season 1 and 2 were.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, there's still hope. It's a little disheartening that the episodes went from like 50, 60 minutes long to now they're pulling like 40s. So that's again part of the. Are we just throwing out episodes to throw out episodes? Are we being irresponsible with the storytelling? Or are some of those budgetary things striking?
Yeah. I mean, it could very well be.
But anyway, fantastic show. Matt, what is your number 1 if it's not Mandalorian?
So my number 1 was kind of the secondary reason that I purchased Disney Plus a couple of years ago, and it was for the Imagineering story. And the Imagineering story is a fantastic in-depth look at basically like the first 15 years of Disney, from the park side basically. So it starts basically before Disneyland opens, and it ends right as Disney World is about to open, because it kind of gets into the Roy Disney stuff and that kind of stuff on that show. It is exceptionally done. Some of the footage that they have from building the parks and that kind of stuff is phenomenal to see. Some of the stories about what happened on opening day, where the asphalt wasn't cured yet and women were losing their heels because they were just sinking into the asphalt as they were walking. Just really, really good story. And if you're a Disney fan and you have Disney Plus, it is very much a must watch, to get a really cool backstory on the parks and everything that goes on with the parks and everything that went into the gamble that was the parks, because both sides in the States, on the US side and on the California side and on the Florida side were huge risks. California was an orange grove and Florida was a swamp. And they were like, hey, we're going to put a theme park here and we're going to see what happens. So, you know, hindsight being 2020, it ended up working out well for them. But the Imagineering story is a great series to kind of check out if you want to see some of that behind the scenes stuff that went into the Disney parks. So that is my number one. Before we get out of here, if you want to submit your suggestion for a top 3, go over to the website, patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. Up in the top right corner, you can put in your top 3 suggestion. And Peter, where can people find you?
Noblesville, Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to come shake your hand or pet your beard, but
I think this thing's about to go away before Friday, though. As I don't think I want it down in Disney because it's supposed to be like 90 degrees. Anyway, yeah, over on Facebook's the best place. Check out Princess and the Mouse Travel. As I said earlier, well, I said it in the news and notes show, so depending when you're watching this, you did or did not hear this. Bunch of deals available for the better part of the rest of this year, all the way through the early parts of fall. And would love to work with you and get things figured out. I always love listening to people talk about how daunting and scary planning a Disney trip is. And then I just love to just take all that weight off of your shoulders and just let you know that it's really not all that. It's 3 or 4 big important things that need to be done with a bunch of little ancillary stuff through just a couple of quick conversations. By quick, I mean about an hour a piece. Spend about 3 hours on the phone with me and your entire Disney vacation will get planned. And not all 3 hours at once, like 40 minutes here, 30 minutes here, hour here. We'll get it all planned and take care of and get you down there having a fantastic time, whether it be Disney World or Disneyland or a cruise, or maybe even Disney Paris.
Yeah, and stick with us.
The new segue into the next section for everybody.
Yeah, because the client question segment tonight is going to be a discussion on Disneyland Paris. So definitely, if you want to learn some stuff about Paris, hang out here, especially for the next few weeks. We're going to be talking Disneyland Paris. Peter's got his trip coming up. We're going to be talking about what's new at Disney World here in a couple weeks. So a lot of good things going on with the show. So let's go ahead and get into that client question.
Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney trip? Ask them live on the show or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning.
I'm doing this tonight. All right, my family and I just got back from a week-long vacation at Disneyland Paris, and we took a trip into Paris City Center to see the Eiffel Tower. It wasn't necessarily an Adventures by Disney trip, but it was led by custom-picked outfitters for Disney, so it went really well. So, Peter, where do you want to start on the Paris stuff?
So just kind of lay out the campus for us, right? Because we understand that World are really 4 separate entities, whereas Land is kind of everything's all kind of close together. Tell us about kind of the parks, and is there, like a Disney Springs, downtown Disney area? Are they far apart? Are they close together? Can I walk from one to the other? Talk us through that.
Yeah. So the Disneyland Paris is very much built off of the layout of Disneyland in California. So the 2 parks, Disneyland and Walt Disney Studios, are basically adjacent to each other. So Disneyland is under the Disneyland Hotel. Walt Disney Studios would be to the left as you're walking towards Walt Disneyland. So from gate to gate, it's about a 2-minute walk. So it's not bad at all. And then as far as hotels, Disneyland Hotel, which has been closed for basically the whole 30th anniversary, which blew my mind, is the gate for Disneyland. It is a cool gate, huge hotel up over the gate, pretty awesome. To get to the other hotels, you walk through their like Disney Springs area, which they call the Disney Village. It's a line of restaurants and shops. So you have a World of Disney. You've got a true Disney store. You've got a Disney apparel store. You've got a Lego store, and then you've got a bunch of eateries there as well. A Rainforest Cafe. There's a McDonald's. There's a restaurant called the Steakhouse, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But just a cool little area that's probably about a half a mile long. It's a pretty good size strip. And then you have the three kind of secondary hotels, which are going to be Hotel New York, which is Marvel themed. Then you have the Sequoia Lodge, which is Bambi themed. And then you have Newport Beach, which is very like Yacht and Beach Club-esque looking at it. And they're around this big lake on the other side of Disney Village. So to get from those three hotels, we were at Sequoia Lodge, and it's the farthest away that you really want to walk. It was about 15-ish, 20 minutes to get from our hotel to the front gate of Disneyland. So not a bad walk. It was about a mile-ish walk. And then there are a couple other hotels that are considered Disney property. The Hotel Santa Fe, the Hotel Cheyenne, and the Davy Crockett Ranch are all considered on-property hotels owned by Disney. Santa Fe you can walk from. It's about a 25-minute walk, almost about a mile and a half. It's behind the Sequoia Lodge, so it's a pretty good walk from the parks to that hotel. And then the other two, you do have to take a bus. Unique bus system. All the buses come into one area because all the parks, Disney Village, everything's right there together, so they don't have separate bus stops. Plus you have all of the train stations. So there's 3 different rail lines that come into Disneyland Paris as well. You have the standard Metro rail, you have their high-speed train, and then you have a local train that all come into Disneyland Paris into their train station. So you've got a big train station and all the bus stops and everything like that. And it's amazing because you have a lot of city buses that come in to Disneyland Paris from Paris City Center with people as well. So really unique setup. So it was really cool.
Yeah, sort of like TTC if also all the Magic Kingdom bus lines were kind of rolling in that. That would be pretty impressive to see there for sure. Another question. So we got these 2 parks. Basically what you're saying, it sounds pretty similar to, as you said, the inspiration's kind of grabbed off of Disneyland in California, because there you kind of come through a joint security line. You've got park to the right, park to the left. You go straight forward to find Disney Springs. You're going to find all the hotels except for Grand Californian through the backside of Disney Springs, kind of around this little loop. So yeah, it sounds like they kind of held true with obviously their own flares and touches. So let's go kind of into the parks. Now, we are world famous for our top 3 segments on this show, because there's got to be at least one person that's not in the U.S. who watches them. So we're world famous, and
I can tell you, I can prove it now, because while we were in France, somebody that we were around in one of the meals pulled up the YouTube channel and saw the top 3 thing and was watching one of them. So world famous.
Boom,
that's all I can say.
World famous.
I know.
You heard it here first, folks.
I know.
So anyway, on that idea, now I want us at some point in this show to kind of like sit down and really unpack the parks, whether it's more of a park series. So let's just kind of keep it brief right now. So let's do in land and then in studio. So you get kind of two. What was your favorite ride? And then what was your favorite non-ride entertainment or attraction?
Okay. So
in each.
Okay, so
2 and 2.
Over in land, really easy. Phantom Manor was my favorite ride in land. So,
which is going to be similar to the Haunted Mansions here,
correct? So it basically follows more of the bride's story, which is really cool, because if you know the Haunted Mansion lore and the Hatbox Ghost and all that kind of stuff, and that story, the ride in Paris tells that story really well. There's bits of it in the one at Walt Disney World, but not to the degree it is in Paris. It's got a really cool building. It's got a great walk-in line. It's got a stretching room, which is all the things that you're wanting from Haunted Mansion. Doom buggies, the whole 9 yards. Really good story. So that was my favorite over there. The attraction's really tough. Or the non-ride attraction is really tough. But I'm going to have to go with Lion King Rhythm of the Pride Lands over...
You texted me mid-show or just after the show.
Right after the show.
This makes sense that you're going with this because I got very few communications from you during the week there, but that was one of them. So it was clearly noteworthy.
It is... So, and Shannon and I talked about it a little bit. The one at Animal Kingdom is very targeted at kids to make it very kid friendly and that kind of stuff. It's got some great segments in it for adults, but it is very, very kid friendly. The one in Paris is 100% Broadway-esque, and it is stunning. I can't wait to get that up on the channel. I got a great video of it. It's the one thing that I wish is I think we got the B Simba on the show, because it's like everything was great, and then you had this guy that played Simba, and he wasn't bad, but it was like he almost felt out of place compared to everybody else.
Simba was sick.
Yeah, but not seeing it more than once, I couldn't tell you if it was, but no, it was absolutely fantastic. Moving over to the Studios Park, my favorite thing that we did ride-wise there was Web Slingers. Web Slingers is unbelievable, and it is very much similar to the one that is in Anaheim, but it is a motion capture type ride where there is no gun or anything, no attachment to your hand. You're basically just moving your hands, and on the screen there are webs coming out of your wrists and you're shooting these spider bots. And we did that ride. What did we do it 4 times, I think? It was awesome. Non-ride there, they have an animation academy there, which was awesome. So basically they've got animators there that lead you through the drawing of a character head. And it's about a 30-minute tutorial, and they go through basically stroke by stroke of how to create these characters. So the kids both sat down and did it, and we did it the day after Paris. So we did it on Saturday. One of the couples that we went to Paris with gave us a tip about asking for the animator's drawing that they do.
Oh.
So we have a huge drawing from a Disney animator of Mushu.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So, for people that are watching this that are going to Disneyland Paris, do the Animators Academy. If you want to draw it, if you have kids that want to draw, go do it. It's awesome. And if you're close to the front of the line, ask the animator if you can have their drawing at the end of the class.
Side note, just so we don't get pulled across the ringer, a similar experience is available down at Disney World. It is in Animal Kingdom at Rafiki's Planet Watch. Just so you know. But like clearly this was kind of more like you got to go find it in Rafiki's Planet Watch and hope it's happening that day and hope you're near a session and hope it's not filled up and everything else like this. This sounds much more accessible and therefore
it is. It was just hard to find because it was on the map, but there wasn't like a door that said, "Here's the Animators Academy." It was in a building adjacent to a show that had a shop in it and a character meet and greet. It was just kind of
similar to like the experience at Disney World being so incredibly kind of off the beaten. Literally, you have to board a train within the park in order to find the animators down at Disney World. Well, fantastic. So let's we got kind of a boy. I'm sure that was really tough after all the amazing things that you did. Let's go with so I will let you cheat and have two if you want. But I know that while you were there, you obviously, one of the things that we love about Disney, we talk all the time on the show, is that when clients or people complain about the food at Disney, I think Matt and I always have basically the same response. Well, then you clearly didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah.
Because some of the best food that has ever had the ability to go through me has come out of a Disney kitchen. And so let's talk about that real quick. Any like, wow, that restaurant or that experience was dining wise, or even just like, holy cow, this quick service cart, whatever. One or two like dining things that just holy cow stick out in your mind.
One of them was the Auberge de Cendrillon, which is the princess character dining experience, similar to Royal Table, that is in the park. It has a very French-inspired menu. Unfortunately, little guy got sick prior to the meal, so him and Shan, they weren't able to have it with us. But as far as best entrees and best desserts, I'd probably say came from that restaurant. And then the characters there were very, very unique. So you had your princesses, but you also had Perla and Susie. And I see you looking around. They are the girl mice from Cinderella. Super
obscure,
super unique character meet and greet, and you only got to see one of them. So all the princesses that were there, you didn't get to see all the princesses, and you didn't get to see both fur characters. You basically got 4. Wherever you fell in their rotation, you got to see 4 of them. So it was really cool. So we got to see Cinderella, Snow White, Jasmine, and Perla. So no, it was, wow. Yeah, it was really cool. And then over at the Studios Park, they had a restaurant that was themed off of the Ratatouille ride, and it was Bistro Chez Remy. And another just fantastic meal.
Did you get the Ratatouille?
We did. So basically, every entree comes with a small dish of Ratatouille.
Oh, is it cut the way that Remy did it in the movie?
It's not. But it is a very unique dish because it's like a zucchini, squash, eggplant roasted in a marinara sauce. So it's got a very unique taste. I mean, it's really good. But that was a very unique, because just like in the ride, when you walk into the restaurant, you shrink down to the size of a rat. So you're sitting on bottle caps and bottle openers are holding up the tables, and yeah, it's just a really, really cool building. So no, a couple of really good dining things there. And then out in Disney Springs, there was a restaurant called the Steakhouse.
You said you were going to come to that later.
Yeah, very plain looking on the front, but when you walk in, it's this huge, expansive place, and it's kind of modeled off of a Chicago butchery. And really neat, really good food. Now we had the dining plan, so we really didn't go off the menu a whole lot with the dining
Must
plan.
be nice.
I know it was extremely nice, but we'll get into in one of the episodes. We'll get into some of the pitfalls of the dining plan over there, because it does have some limitations that the world dining plan does not. But the steakhouse, you could only choose like one steak as part of the dining plan. All of the restaurants had a dining plan menu. You couldn't just pull off of the whole menu. They had specific dining plan menus that you used. So yeah. But yeah, a restaurant in each of the areas there. So
Did you feel there, right? I can imagine it would be relatively easy to kind of celebrate the French Disney. So I guess what I mean by that is, like, you mentioned the Ratatouille restaurant. Were there other, like, over celebrations of Remy or Belle, for example? Was maybe like, I kind of think over here, Cinderella is sort of like the one. Did you feel like Cinderella was still like the one, or was Belle maybe held in a bit higher spotlight over there with being
it was
France?
Stitch. It sounds ridiculous, but we were really surprised on how little there was of Belle and how little there was of Ratatouille, which are like distinctly French movies.
Right.
Everything was very Americanized, and when you looked around, you always found somebody that had something Stitch on. So that seemed to be the character. And one of the craziest stories is I was watching the Facebook. I joined a bunch of Disneyland Paris Facebook groups prior to the trip, and one of the questions that constantly came up in these groups was, how do you meet Stitch without a 2-hour line?
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, there's no way that Stitch commands a 2-hour line all the time. And we walk in there the first day that we really knew where Stitch was, and it's got a relatively good queue, and I'm like, that's not a bad queue. So the last day we were like, hey, we're going to rope drop and just get there so we don't have to worry about a queue. And we got there, we saw him in about 15 minutes, but shortly after we got in line, they were already telling people 15 feet behind us, it's going to be about an hour wait. And before we left, they were already telling people in the line that it was going to be over a 2-hour wait. And this was 15 minutes into the early magic hours at the park. So, and one of the things, and it's unique. I want to talk a little bit about the cultural difference. The big one that's
Whoa, we're not there yet, but I guess go ahead and keep going.
All right. The big cultural difference that really slapped us in the face were, it wasn't that the French are rude by any means or anything like that. Europeans are in a hurry to do something slow. They will push you out of the damn way to go sit for 2 hours and drink a damn cup of coffee. And it showed...
I feel like there's a story behind this statement.
So, the character meet and greets, when you're in Disney World and Disneyland, the handler has a timer in their head. From the time that you walk into that area with the character, there's a timer that handler is trying to get you out of that circle by.
Yeah, all day, 100% of the time. For sure. You can feel it.
In France, there's not.
That would be why there's an hour-long wait for Stitch.
There were people that would take 10 minutes with a character.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
One of the most unique characters we saw, they had a Haunted Mansion Mickey.
You like blue face?
No, it was the maroon suit.
Yeah, the Ghost Coast.
Yeah, the teal accent.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Line was probably 15 families deep. We waited an hour and a half for it.
Right, and at any of the America parks, you would be 10 minutes in out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, when you do go over, that is one thing to be very cognizant of. Another thing is that the wait staff at restaurants do not work for tips.
I get where we're going with this statement.
They get paid a normal wage. They don't get paid the $2 or $3 like an American server does. They get paid a normal wage. So they have no benefit of providing good service to the customer other than just to provide good service to the customer.
Because the table eventually needs to be empty again.
Yeah.
So that they can get to all the reservations.
Yeah. But in France, you know, they're just on an hourly. So, yeah. Shan just put it there. I hope you don't want a refill on a drink. If it was a buffet, we saw our server a total of one time during the meal. And that was to take our order for drinks and bring them back. And that was it. If they came by our table and saw that we had an empty plate, they might grab it, but probably not. And we never got drink refills. So your 50 centiliter Coke better last you the whole damn meal, because that's all you're getting. So,
all right.
And I didn't realize that until a couple days in, because I was like, it was just kind of weird, because I would walk out and see tables where there were no tip on the table or no tip in the credit card sleeve or whatever, and I was like, this is weird. And I started looking it up online. Yeah, they all make a living wage. It would have saved me about €50 the first couple of days if I would have known that.
Those servers were probably sitting there like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
They were actually sitting there going, stupid American.
Exactly. That's exactly what they were probably saying. But yeah, it was very, very unique.
So besides a little bit of cultural differences, did you feel that there was any difficulty as somebody who clearly does not speak French, heading over there and having everything that you needed to have a successful time?
No, there was no difficulty. Basically, every Disney employee would greet you, bonjour, English. And if you kept going in French, they'd speak French with you. If you started speaking English, they'd speak English with you. Basically, everybody that you came into contact with was fluent enough in English. Forgot about that.
I feel like Shannon just reminded you of a story.
She did. But yeah, everybody that you came into contact with, you know, whether it was in a shop or restaurant, characters all spoke French, English, and most of them spoke Italian or Spanish as well.
Sure.
So that, you know, with Europe being such an open continent, basically, you know, they'd have people that spoke Polish and Spanish and all kinds of stuff. I think the guy on our tour that was on the bus back spoke 5 languages or something. Yeah, it was crazy. But the story that Shannon reminded me of is the start of our trip. So we take a red eye from Chicago to De Gaulle. De Gaulle is an absolute cluster to travel through. If you can avoid it like the plague, do not fly through De Gaulle.
All right, hold on. This is Europe. Settle down with that statement.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why I went with the plague statement. Because getting through De Gaulle both ways, I bet you we lost 6 hours of our life in that airport. And that wasn't just sitting there waiting for a plane. That was in a line for them to look at our passports. So you fly into an international terminal like you would in any other airport. You go through their customs, you get your passport stamped, yada, yada, yada. Now we've got to go over 2 terminals, basically, and find our magical shuttle. So they have like a magical express system there called Magic Shuttle, owned and operated by Disney. Finally figure out how to find the place. There's no markings or anything for it. You're just looking for a hall number in a terminal is what you're looking for. And you find this hall, you walk down it. There hasn't been any signage. Like, you walk through Orlando International Airport, it's like
Signs everywhere.
Mears Express, everywhere, yeah. So we finally find it, and there's this really cool red Magic Shuttle bus sitting out in the lot. And we're like, okay, cool. We'll go out there. There's nobody out there. We can't figure it out. So I walk in, and they've got this little counter, and there's a driver, and then there's a person working at the counter, and they're having this conversation. 5 minutes in, haven't looked up at me yet. I'm like, hey, how do I get on the bus? And they're like, oh, do you have a ticket? And I pull out my ticket, and they're like, yo, you just give it to the driver. I go, there's nobody at the bus. And they go, oh yeah, it's not that bus, it's the one behind it. An unmarked white bus behind it. Like, great, awesome. So this is a great start. This is very Mears Expressious of our start. So I go out, put my luggage on the curb, have him scan the thing, and I start to walk in the bus, and he goes, no. You put the luggage in. I was like, what? So yeah, you have to load your own luggage onto the bus. Unload it when you get off at the hotel. And then he decided, I don't know if the interstate was closed, because there is definitely an interstate route from the airport to Disneyland Paris. We went in the French countryside, got stuck in traffic. It was a mess getting there. We were supposed to be in the parks by, I was estimating we were going to be in the parks by about 11. We got in the parks at like 3. So yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy start. No, the only other thing I want to talk about is the Paris, like the excursion we did. Because, you know, unlike the United States parks, you know, the Disneyland Paris is in Paris. I mean, it's 40 minutes outside of the city. It's not far at all. Disney offers multiple packages to go into Paris. And it's cool how they do it, because all the packages kind of work together in the end, and you kind of take the same buses, but you split up in groups. So we did the Palace of Versailles package, which the Palace of Versailles, I'll do an hour episode just on the palace, and then we didn't see half of it. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. I took the 360 camera in there, and some of the shots that I have from in that place are just, they're hard to imagine. Just the scope. Like, one of the rooms was 73 feet long, and it was, the whole ceiling was paintings all the way down the ceiling, with chandeliers hanging from the, it's absolutely breathtaking. And we got to walk inside the castle, which they've got like 2 little routes that you take through the castle, and then the gardens is kind of like a self-guided, you just go out and hang out in the gardens, which in all reality, to do it right, you probably need 2 days at least. And we had about 4 hours. So
you almost got it all.
Yeah. There's one part we could see people boating in one of the lakes that was probably 2 miles away from us. And it's part of the castle grounds.
Yeah.
So It's
That's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy to think how big that is. The Eiffel Tower was fantastic, even though it's got this big security border up around it now, and we didn't know if it was just because of all the protests that are going on in France right now with the pension things or what was going on, but it had this big security border over it. Once you got over like that 8-foot security border, it was beautiful from 8 feet up to 1,000 feet. But no, it was really cool. And then the Seine River cruise that we did. You want to talk about a mecca for architecture? Unbelievable up and down the Seine. The Louvre, the World's Fair building, Notre Dame, all the government buildings. They're all on the banks of the Seine. We had an hour cruise, so basically it went a half hour up to the tip of what used to be the Goat Island behind Notre Dame. Did a U-turn, came back down the other side of the Seine. No, really, really, really cool. It was like $560 for the 4 of us. It was worth that and then some to do that excursion. It was absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
So,
well, there you go. And I'm sure we will talk more about Disneyland Paris in future episodes, or maybe even do a complete dedicated episode. Not that 30 whatever minutes that we just talked about, it wasn't enough, but obviously stay tuned. Matt has already been putting out some of his little video content and things like that. And so I am sure on DPI podcast here over the next probably months to maybe even years, there will be more and more Disneyland Paris things trickling out for those of you that are intrigued.
oh yeah, we brought home over 700 gigs of content. Allie took 900 pictures. We've got stuff for months to put together. So no, unbelievable trip of a lifetime. And if you guys have any questions about going to the parks, definitely reach out. Not an expert by any means, but I know a lot of the answers now that I didn't know before going to the parks. So definitely more inclined to be able to answer a lot of those questions now. So yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been one of our longer shows, so really cool. Next week, have we figured out what we're going to do there? Are we going to pick you up at the parks next week for top 3?
We can. I'll be in Epcot, so I'm sure I can grab a diesel and sit down at the lake.
Well, we've already done our top 3 alcoholic beverages, so
it doesn't have to be top 3. I'm just telling you what I'm going to be drinking when.
No, sounds good. What I'll do, we'll talk about it. But be ready for some content live from the parks next week with Peter, and we will catch you guys all next week. Thanks for joining us tonight, and have a wonderful week. We'll see you in April. Bye now. Hey, we had Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. We talked a little bit of news. We did a top 3 about Disney Plus series, and we had a good conversation about Disneyland. If you're looking for our content, you can find it in a lot of places. The easiest place is going to be over on Facebook at DPI Podcast for the show, at PATM Disney Travel for the travel side. You can also find us on Twitter. That's where I do most of my conversations, at Disney Insights. And then, of course, the YouTube channel is the Disney Planning Insights Podcast. you guys for listening, watching, liking, sharing, everything that you do. Have a wonderful weekend. We will talk to you in April.